Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be making a tier list on all of Supercar's studio albums. And no, I'm not talking about actual Supercars, I'm talking about Supercar, the Japanese band that I really like. Like, they have no real bad albums and they're just a phenomenal band sonically especially. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. And by the way, if you haven't listened to any of these albums, please give at least like 3 Out Change and High Vision a listen, because goddamn, both of those albums are phenomenal. But that's me kind of spoiling stuff. But yeah, 3 Out Change goes into S tier. If you honestly ask me where I would put this when I first listened to it, probably in B tier, but it's really grown on me. And what do I mean by that? Well, on my first listen, it sounded like everything just kind of blended into each other. All the songs sounded the same, but then when I re-listened to it several times, I then realized that while most of the songs sound pretty similar and have that very muffled, kind of shoegazy production with a bunch of reverb on everything, where it's just a wall of sound, really, it is really cool. And also a lot of the chord progressions do differentiate from one another, so I can actually, like, differentiate from each of the songs. And yeah, I honestly didn't like that kind of muffled kind of production when I first listened to it as well, but again, it grew on me. But the highlights on here are phenomenal. Like, some of Supercar's best songs easily. I Love You. I know it is kind of just a copy of like one song from Oasis. I forgot the song that they're really taking inspiration from. It's not an exact copy. That is an exaggeration, but it is very heavily inspired by Oasis, and you can tell. But I love that song even so. Like, it has great raw production to that song. I also really like the final track, which is what was it called again? Trip Sky. Yeah, Trip Sky, which is like this 12-minute lumbering, repeating chord progression song that I really enjoy. Again, on first listen, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I've really grown to enjoy it, especially because of the lead singer's vocals on that track, as well as all the other tracks. Like, the main singer, I don't know his name. I think I've checked out some of his solo work, but I don't remember his exact name. But he is a phenomenal singer. He's like the perfect singer to this band. I can't think of any other singer that is better than him. Even the female vocalist, who's a kind of a secondary singer, is also great. Like, she's great as well. Like, the blend of them as well together with their harmonies is also really good. But also the singles on this record, like Lucky, are just iconic. And it's probably their second most popular song behind one of their songs off Eureka 7, but they definitely deserve to be more popular. It really sucks, and especially their more unknown albums like Jump Up are like really just kind of thrown to the wayside and not really, not really paid attention to, because these guys have some of the most forward-thinking music, even in Japanese music. Like, it is insane just how great and how revolutionary this music sounds. Especially compared to a lot of other very generic, Japanese rock bands that really just do the same thing. I feel like Supercar differentiated themselves, like, by a lot. But yeah, as I said, 3 Out Change, great album, from front to back. As I said, it all just kind of blended together on first listen, but it's really grown on me. I feel like all the songs have unique chord progressions for me to actually latch onto, to make it not feel like it's super blended together like I used to think. But anyways, next album that they made, at least I think, maybe they made these two kind of double albums. I mean, it's not really a double album, but they are kind of companion albums, especially because of the album covers and the names. But I'm just going to be doing Jump Up next anyway. And Jump Up is A tier. I don't think it's as good as 3 Out Change, obviously, but it's still very good. And the highlights, again, on this record are great. I love Love Forever. It's very different for Supercar, with a very piano-led melody with some just light guitar work in the background and light drums, but it's really good. It's a really nice change of pace from a lot of the shoegaze that was on 3 Out Change. But also, they do have like shoegaze tracks on here as well that are also great, like Skyphone Speaker and Walk Slowly. Like the intro, that I love that fucking intro. Walk Slowly is a phenomenal track, probably one of their best openers. Also, Daydreamer is really calm, really soothing as an outro as well. This album is just great as well. There's no real bad songs. In fact, on every single one of the records, there's not really like a bad song. Just kind of mediocre ones, which I'll get to now, which are Okia and Oh Yeah, which are again kind of companion albums. I'm not sure if they were meant to be a double album. I don't think so. Just very similar in terms of sound, really. But yeah, they're just kind of eh. They are just kind of filler albums, but even then, they still have some great tracks. I do like Okia better than Oh Yeah, mainly because of one song on Okia, uh, and one other track. Let me pull up actually it on streaming so I can remember the name because I'm so bad at remembering song names. And this goes the same for like even anime that I watch. Like I can't remember any characters' names. I don't know what it is about it, but I just can't. What is the track name? Oh yeah, Summer Tune. Summer Tune is also great. I feel like it's a lot better than a lot of the tracks on Oh Yeah. But the one track that's really a standout for me personally is Flicker. I love Flicker. In fact, I even made a kind of like copied version of it on one of my songs that was like terrible. But I love just the overall overblown production on both of these albums. It is very harsh. I will say that these albums are both like way louder mixed than any other Supercar album. I mean, the other Supercar albums are already like decently loud in terms of the mix, but these are fucking really loud, especially in terms of the treble. Like it is piercing. It is super bright in terms of production. So if you have something like Bear Dynamics, which are known like infamously for having really bright treble, these might not be the albums for you if you want to go into Supercar's discography, because as I said, they're very harsh. But they're still really good. Like they're still solid. They're just not as good. They don't really hold a candle to any other like mainstay like non-filler. I say non-filler, but you know, I don't know if these were like filler albums. They were meant to be that as all at all, but like as I said, that's just what I feel. But again, even for like a filler album, which again I don't know if it actually is, if these actually are filler albums, they're still good. So yeah, as I said, they have no bad album. And next we have Futurama, which is where they go full balls to the walls with the electronics. While on Jump Up, they kind of experimented with electronics, like briefly on some of the songs, just with very simple arpeggiation. Here, oh my god, on Futurama, they go full balls to the walls with electronics and just really incorporate it almost in every single track, while still having that shoegaze element to a lot of the tracks as well. I fucking love I goddamn love the first three tracks on this album as well. But one of my favorites on this album and in Supercar's whole discography as well is Play Star Vista. It's a really nice blend of sampling, of electronics, and of shoegaze. It's just the perfect blend, and I really love it. But also there are other highlights on this record, such as Easy Way Out, which is another really good shoegaze track, Karma, which is this really like nostalgic feeling song. I don't know what it is about it, but the melody is super nostalgic to me, which kind of hints to their next record, which I'll get to. But also Fairway is a phenomenal single, really good, with a very catchy chorus. But I love the second half of this album, probably even more than the first half. It's just, I would say, a little bit more consistent. Even though they're probably lesser known than a lot of the first tracks on the album. But I really love the entire second half. Restarter is this weird experimental piece that they never really delved into ever again, but I really like it. It's kind of eerie, but it's really cool. AOSA is this really calm, really nice piece, but I really love New Young City as well. Again, probably one of my favorite Supercar songs, and definitely one of my favorites on the album. I love these like synth strings. They really excel at just incorporating strings on their records. And also, I forgot to mention my favorite track on 3 Out Change. I can't believe I almost forgot to mention it. Planet. That's my favorite Supercar song. Like, it's not by a mile. Like, there are still other songs that are like close to beating it. But goddamn, Planet is so goddamn nostalgic and melancholic in terms of its tone, and the strings Holy shit, the strings. Like, it's the only track on the Yacht Change to really incorporate strings, and it does it wonderfully. Like, holy shit, man. It's so goddamn good. But yeah, as I said, second half of this album is great. Also, I'm Nothing is a really, really good closer for this album. As I said, really, really nice album front to back. Pretty decently consistent as well. I will say that when going into Supercar albums as well, be prepared to take a lot of time to listen to the album because they are kind of long. They aren't like 2 hour long marathons. Okay, not marathon. Those aren't marathon albums. I can easily listen to like 2 hour long albums if I were to be honest. I know people can, a lot of people cannot do that, but I can. I mean, I've listened to Fishman's live album several times and I still don't get sick of it. It still gets so goddamn good. But yeah, as I said, a lot of their studio records are pretty long, so just be ready for that when you get into the album. Although I feel like, or when you get into most of these albums, but I feel like I actually like it that way. I feel like a lot of it just isn't actually filler. It's just them throwing a bunch of ideas at the wall and see what sticks, but just including it on the album anyway. Even if it's this weird, again, like experimental piece like a Restarter is, it's still really cool to include it on the album anyway. Like, I don't feel like any of these songs on almost any of these albums are really filler. Again, maybe besides these two albums down here, but besides that, not really. Like, I feel like most of the songs on all of these albums, have can stand on their own and just work. But yeah, next is my favorite album from Supercar, and probably their most popular. But even then, again, it's not really that popular, unfortunately, because High Vision, where I said that this was them going full balls to the walls with the electronics, I actually did kind of mean this, because High Vision, they kind of get rid of a lot of the shoegaze elements and they strip it all down to electronic. They go full electronica on this album, and I goddamn love it. I still can't find any other Japanese album, or even band for that matter, that incorporates electronics as well as both of these albums do. Because holy shit, I love this album. I know I keep saying holy shit, but there's really no other word I can use to describe how good this album is. Like, it's such a consistent album from front to back, and has my favorite opener out of any Supercar album. It's just this euphoric, really nostalgic, just really nice track. Starline is a just amazing opener. But not only that, this entire album is just filled with very nostalgic feeling melodies. It's very simple in terms of the synthesizer, like how they actually sound, but they have like this weird like earworm melodies to like each of the synth lines that's really, really good. Like, I can't get enough of this album. It's just a great 10 out of 10 album from front to back. In fact, even 3 out of change, I'll give it a 10 out of 10 as well. These are probably 9s. These are probably like, I don't know, somewhere around 6 or 7s. But yeah, as I said, just a great album from front to back. Also, I can't go without mentioning the one track that was on Eureka 7, at least I think the only one track that was featured on that soundtrack, which is Story Rider. Story Rider is phenomenal. One of my favorite Supercar tracks as well, just a really nice track. One of the only like shoegaze tracks on the record, but again, it incorporates electronica very, very well. But they especially delve into electronica in the second half, where they kind of get rid of a lot of the shoegaze elements and just, again, strip it down to really simple but nice electronic elements with really, really sparkly synthesizers that are just a joy to listen to. Like, my god. Also, Silent Yaratori as a Yaratori, I think that's how you pronounce it, is a stellar closer. Really, really euphoric as well. Just a really pleasing and nostalgic feeling album that I can't get enough of. But then, we have probably, I don't like to say this, but probably their most underrated, or at least, no, not underrated, because it's decently rated, but I would say underappreciated album from them, because Answer is them kind of going back to basics and incorporating more electronic element with, yet again, going back to some shoegaze elements. But where, Futurama did that sort of, This goes in a completely different direction than just shoegaze. Like that was mostly on Futurama. Here, they go into a lot of different genres, mainly more like with more Latin influence on the percussion, especially. Just really, really nice, like kind of Eastern influences on some of these songs, with again just more electronic production with a little bit of shoegaze here and there. I really, really like Answer. It's this really dark. It's probably their darkest sounding album as well. It has some, definitely does have some psychedelic influence as well, which again is really goddamn cool. And yeah, really, really nice album from front to back. I really do like the opener, which is, I'm pulling it up right now, I'm sorry, Freehand, really catchy. Love that chorus. This probably is their most groovy album. Like it's just the easiest to really lock into a groove on this album, and it just mostly stays there, which I really like. But also Wonder Word is, again, one of my favorite Supercar tracks. I know I keep saying that, but it's just because a lot of them are so goddamn good. But yeah, Wonder Word is this really catchy song with a really nice, just melodic guitar line that's just amazing. But also Recreation is a great, really just stellar, really, really good single. But also Last Scene, really nice, second to last track on the album. And then Time, which is the last Supercar song on any studio album. And whether they intended to or not, this really is a fitting ending for their discography, and also just a fitting ending to the album. It's this really calm, really minimalist piano piece with the female singer doing the main vocals, with some harmonization from the male singer as well. It's just this really beautiful ending to the album that's, again, really, really peaceful, and is a really, really good ending to not only this album, but as I said, their whole discography. But yeah, that is basically it. I know I just gave a kind of brief rundown on like some of the tracks that I liked, but as I said, both of these albums up in S tier, and a lot of these albums and all these albums in A tier are just great. Like, I don't really have a lot of flaws with any of them. But these, kinda. But even then, again, these are still pretty good albums that still have some really great tracks on it. But as I said, just most of the songs on these albums are just don't stack up to the same level of quality that are on all of these other records. But yeah, that is basically it, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.